बार बोलो श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय, बोलो श्री सरस्वती माता की जय, बोलो श्री गुरु महाराज की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, पवन पुत्र हनुमान की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की। अपने आसन पर बैठिए, प्लीज टेक योर रिस्पेक्टिव सीट्स। I ask you to bring the God of your liking and understanding to your mind as we seek their blessings, that the few moments you spend here together will be well worth the while, and we'll get closer, better understanding, a more profound understanding of the delivery of Sant Tulsidas Ji. So in one voice. Om Yam Brahma Vedanta Vido Vedanti Param Pradhanam Purusham Tathanye Vishvodgate Karanam Ishwaram Va Tasmai Namo Vigna Vinashanaya. Om Pratibham Satsabhayam Cha Vicharaksha Matam Shubham Lupta Sarvam Navayodam Navibhutam Punaha Guru Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Atulita Baladhamam Swarna Shaila Bhadeham Dhanajavani Krishanam Jnananama Graganyam Sakalagunanidhana Vararamadhisham Raghupati Varadutam Vatajatam Namami Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pate Namaha Nagendraharaya Trilochanaya Bhasmangaragaya Maheshwaraya Nityaya Shudhaya Digambaraya Tasmai Nakaraya Namah Shivaya. Boli Umapati Mahadev ki Jai. Our closing invocation depicts Shankar Bhagwan, Shiv Baba, because the very text before us, the Ramayana, is also originally it was called Manas Charitra, the exploits Charitra of the Supreme conceived in the mind of Bhagwan Shiva. And so we pay adulation to Bhagwan Shiva as we are about to tinker with his words to Sant Tulsidas, to Buchoon Ji, to Guru Maharaj, and to Yajnavalkya, and the very wise Bharadwaj Yajnavalkya. Today is Basant Panchami, so I crave your indulgence for 2 minutes as we chant a very potent stuti for Saraswati Mata. And it says merely listening to that, we wouldn't have the time and the wit and the forum to explain, but the mere listening to these words brings blessings. So I ask you to bring Saraswati Mata in your mind. Om Aradhya Matas Charunambuje Te Brahma Dayo Vistrit Kirtimavapaha Anye Param Vav Vibhavam Munindraha Param Shriyam Bhakti Bharena Chanye Namami Devim Navachandra Maulair Matanginim Chandra Kamalavatam Sam Amnaya Prapti Patiparitartham Prabodhayantim Priyamadarena Vinamra Devasura Mauli Ratnai Nirajatam Te Charanar Vindam Bhajanti Ye Devi Mahipatinam Vrajanti Te Samparamadarena Kritarthayantim Paravim Padabhyamas Palayantim Kritavalkim Tam Matanginim Siddhi Dhayandinomi Lilam Shukam Shuddhanitam Babimbam Tali Dadale Narpita Karna Bhusham Madhvi Madod Ghurni Nataletra Padyam Ghanastanim Shambhu Vadum Namami Tadillata Kanti Manerga Bhusham Chirena Laksham Navalom Raja Swarami Bhaktya Jakata Madhishe Valitra Yadyam Tava Madhyamamba Nilotpalam Shushiyamavahantyaha Kantya Katakshay Hai Kamala Karanam Kadamba Malanchita Keshapasham Matanga Kanyam Hridi Bhavayami Jyayeya Marakta Kapola Bimbam Bimbandharanyastala Vashya Malila Lila Lakamaya Taksham Mandasmitam Tevadanam Maheshi Stutyanaya Shankar Dharma Patnim Matanginim Vagadi Devatam Tam Stuvantiye Bhakti Uta Manushyaha param shiyam nityam upashrayanti paratra kailasate vasanti udbhanu marichi vichi vilasadvaso vasaram param gaurim sangati panakarpar karamananda kandodbhavam gunjahar chaladvihar chaladihar hridayama pina tungastanim matta smira mukhim namami sumukhim shavasanam sedushim. Bole Shri Saraswati Mata ki jai. Opening Doha. In Balkan, Ramayana has 7 canto, or for want of a better word, 7 chapters. We are in the first canto. We are going to listen to a conversation between Shankar Bhagwan and Parvati Mata. A conversation from which will emanate, or supposed to emanate, a working knowledge of Ramayana. Dharinishara Parvati Mata, seeing Shankar Bhagwan firmly, comfortably seated on the mountain top of Kailas, she bowed down, she says, and Tulsidas describes, her head touched the ground as she paid obeisance to her Lord and Master, Shankar Bhagwan. Binay karo karajori, with clasped hands and with total humility, she tells him, Varanahu Raghuvara Visharayasha, I am thirsting to hear about the glories of Bhagwan Shri Ramchandra. Those pure glories, unadulterated. That is what I want to hear. Shruti Siddhanta Nichori. And in truth and in fact, to give context to my question, Prabhu, I ask you also to treat it Siddhant with the maths of Hinduism. You know, because many times when we go out in satsang, we have to cater for the younger generation. They want it the scientific way, they want the mathematical way. So Parvati Mata, in the abundance of her benevolence, she says, I want you to treat with topics in that manner. Shankar Bhagwan. We say, you know, well, we are worshippers of Shankar Bhagwan, but it goes merely beyond offering a flower, preferably a dhatur flower, maybe a madar flower. It goes, and you know, Om Namah Shivaya. There has to be a connect with our worship, what we do, and to whom we are worshipping. And it's not that Shankar Bhagwan, Ram, Hanuman necessarily wants honor, you know. We want to understand the recipes for our challenges on an everyday basis. So, Shankar Bhagwan rides on the bull known as Nandishwara. What's the feature of the bull? In all of God's animal creation, the most powerful animal uphill is not an elephant, it's not Lion King in the jungle, it's a bull. So when we go before Bhagwan Shankar, we must understand that whatever the challenges before us, with his blessings and having implicit faith in him, then we should have the wherewithal with his blessings to conquer such challenges. So it is in this context we are looking at it. Even looking at the at Parvati Mata. It is said that, you know, how many, to go and have a dip in the Ganga, I think all of we have to do most of we have to do a fundraiser, because the fare might be 20,000. I don't know what his hotel and accommodation will be. So what is the poor man's chance of reaching that tilt, that holy of holiest pilgrimages? For what? For the absolving of sins? How we could do that? Pucheu Raghupati Katha Prasanga Sakala Loka Pavri Ganga. Shankar Bhagwan says, he says, I thank you for asking these questions, because you have brought Ganga. This is a flowing Ganga. Ramayana is a flowing Ganga, whereby if we dip in it,
and take a bath and immerse in it, then we'll have the understanding how to, or an inkling of the understanding on how to handle the challenges of life. She says, treat it mathematically. Well, we treat it mathematically now. People have said the world will end just now. Is that so? We treat it mathematically. In one round of creation, Hinduism has, we talk about time in billions of years. So there are 28 rounds of creation, each one lasting 4.32 billion years. Each one. And in each round of creation, you have 1,000 Satyug, 1,000 Treta, 1,000 Dwapar, and 1,000 Kalyug. In other words, 1,000 times Ram came, 1,000 times Krishna came in one round of creation. We are in the 7th round of creation. So it means that Sri Ramchandra, any of the deities, has already come 6,000 times. And 6,000 Kalyugs have gone. In this round of creation, only 28 gone. And in each round of creation, they'll have 71 Kalyug. So we're far from even the middle of the end of creation. So we better live straight now. You only go in tomorrow. You know, we have to go and come, our argument, better we tighten it up and cross all the T's and dot all the I's to make sure that when we return here, we're in a better position. So Bhagwan Shiva was able to give an inkling that when we look at Hindu philosophy, you know, it's mathematical, sound, very mathematically sound. We hear, as Parvati Mata continues, questions going to be posed here. I ain't going to keep you longer than 9 o'clock, trust me. We'll do it in précis because I suspect you're an intelligent audience. I don't go in graphic detail, but we'll cover because the retorts, the answers of Bhagwan Shiva, given sporadically through Ramayana, will give us a working knowledge of Ramayana. Many people say, why 13? Well, with 7 chapters, it could have been 2 questions a chapter, 14. But when we reach the Doha, we'll see one which is considered a question was really an adjective. We'll talk about the grammar of it. Suffice it to say, 13 questions are being asked. Yarapi yo chita ana adhikari dasi man krama vachan tumhari. Parvati Mata says, you know, I'm a female, and sometimes we are females are governed by sentiments and emotions, and rational takes a back seat. Sometimes it happens. It's how is the character build of people. So she says, I don't want you to think that I'm going to be off course in my questions. My questions are really and truly, I'm a das, I'm a servant of you in thought, word, and deed. Gurahu tatva nasadu duravahi. I know you are going to give me the answers, Prabhu, because it is said, Wise people don't hide anything from people who are, who have good motives. And my motive is good. Arata adhikari jaha pavahi. But there are certain things that bother me. It ain't really bothering Parvati Mata. She's a true mother. She's asking about the things that bother us. Ati arat puchehu rag suraraya raghupati katha kahu kardaya. Prathama sokarana kahu vichari. Nirguna braham sagun bapudhari. My first question, why God had to take form and come on earth? Why he couldn't wave his magic wand from upper world and rectify everything and destroy Ravan and take away all the troubles? Why that had to happen? Well, that is cleverly answered. Drishtant is a little anecdote now. When the Mughals had invaded India a couple of centuries back, King Akbar, Emperor Akbar, retained his court Pandit Birbal. They used to have nice exchange, a nice banter. So, Akbar said one day, I say, your God really weak, Panditji. Because look, he had to come as Ram, he had to come as Krishna to rectify things. Why he couldn't wave his magic wand? Pandit Birbal said, well, I'll answer you, but give me a couple of days now. So he went, he studied and he mulled it. He had a little audience with the queen. And so next morning, very early, the guard knocked on the emperor's room. The emperor said, what's the matter? Is there urgent matter? He says, not really, but Panditji want to see her. He said, this hour in the morning, sun even rise yet, he come to see me. But he had respect for Pandit Birbal. He says, what do you want? Pandit Birbal says, let's go out in here. I can't tell you here. I'll tell you in confidence. Let's go out in the royal lake. So they mounted the little yacht, the royal yacht, with all the able-bodied seamen and guards and so forth, and they went out there. Conversation didn't even start good. And the king noticed that the queen's yacht was hustling. And of course, the emperor's mind run one time on his only grandson. Take care something wrong. So as it drew near, the emperor saw that the queen had in her blanket wrapped up what looked like the babe. And so he says, bring him, Pandit go jhari him and so forth. In them days didn't have Panadol now. So they had to use jhari. So he said, bring him in jhari. But in the process of handing over the babe, it fell in the lake. Man, it had all kind of strong, able-bodied seamen and who water. Akbar himself jumped inside the cold lake. And when he came up, he was furious because he came up with a wooden doll. And he asked Panditji, what is the meaning of this? So he asked his wife, what is the meaning of this? He said, ask Pandit. So Pandit said, my question to you, you have so much of capable people around you, so much of messengers and what have you. Why you didn't tell them to jump? You tell them to jump? That is my grandson. I could send anybody else to do it. He said, that is my answer to you. My Ram and my Krishna, all of us, we are his children. He didn't send anybody or wave any magic wand. That is why Prathama Sokaran Kahu Vichari. That is why God comes on earth. Further to that, Balkan says there are specific reasons. Vipadhenu Surasanta Hita Lin Hamanuja Otar Nija Icha Nirmitanu Maya Gungopar. For the sake of the Brahmins, Vipra, Dhenu, for the sake of the cows, Vipra Dhenu Dhana, Vipra Dhenu Surasanta Hita, for the sake of the Devatas, and for the sake of the holy people, God manifests himself. That do have gone long more than that, but that's are the very reasons categorized and stratified why God comes on earth. We hear questions coming up. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chaupai. Jai Ramasri. Jai Ram Sri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Sri Rama, Jai Rama, Jaya. question, Puni Prabhu Kahahu Ram Avtara. Tell me about the avatar or the manifestations of Ram. What was the mystique behind it? Well, Prabhu and God never comes to the womb. He manifests himself, and he can tell you, Bhaye Prakata Kripala Dina Dayala Kaushilya Hitakari. And they tell you that? Bhaye Pragat. He is manifest. And how was that deal struck up? Pawan Dev, one night, tomorrow is Hanuman Ji Day. We'll talk about this in more detail, but Pawan Dev, the father of Hanuman, or the Ishta Divaliya's father, because he brought him to his blessings, struck up a deal. He went to Prabhu, Mahavishnu, before he incarnated as Ram. He says, I have a situation here. Anjani has asked for a son with these kinds of powers, and I think it is out of my capacity to grant her that. But Anjani reminded Pawan Dev that once you go to an Ishta, all will be well. And so Prabhu says, I will take care of it. And in exchange, I want you to enter the tummy of Kaushilya, Keikeyi, and Sumitra. Make it a look as the months go by that they are pregnant. I wouldn't be enveloped in the womb. At the appropriate time, I will manifest myself. So God is not like a mortal or like human beings. He doesn't come through the womb. He manifests himself. Question number 3. Bala Charit Puni Kahahu Udara. She says, Prabhu, tell me about the Bal Charitra, about the childlike sports and plays of Prabhu Ramchandra. And it's a good example, it's a template really, how siblings should behave. Sometimes Bharat had said, his 4 brothers, Bharat says, Shishupanate parihare unasangu, kabahuna kina mora mana bhangu, may Prabhu kripa riti jiyajoi, hare ukel, jitaya humohi. Bharat says sometimes in a game of marbles, Sri Ramchandri, we'll say Bejna. You ever pitch by? You know about that? You know about that? You know about computer and so forth, Mario Kart. Anyway, there's a term older people know that when you're getting through in pitching, they say a Bej. So Sri Ramchandri, he didn't use any supernatural powers. He was just more, he was elder, he was more skilled. And he saw the little frown in Bharat's face of not being able to win a little game himself now. So what did Prabhu do? He purposely, but very discreetly allowed himself to lose so that Bharat will savor the taste of victory. But today, here the Ram and the Bharat, for 1 foot of land, we had to go to the High Court to arbitrate. The Ramayana didn't teach us that. Sometimes you have to give a quarter. Ram gave a quarter for Bharat's smile, for Bharat's benefit. And when that happens, when there is sibling rivalry, don't point fingers. Don't say it's this one and that one. Usually is one perpetrator. The 2 sides are bad. And Ramayana also says that the one who is not the perpetrator, the one who will bring to peace and bond, Ramayana says, understand something. That, in a pond, in a very pond, Upajahi ekasand jagamahi, jalaja joke jimigun bilgai. In a pond, you'll get the joke, the leech, that'll suck your blood, but that stick onto your skin. And you get the lotus. In the same pond, the lotus will give you the richest honey, the richest nectar, which gives you, strengthens your blood. One is suck your blood, and one is give your blood. So in families, you don't have 2 bad people. You'll have one who will be perpetrator, but the good one must understand that this is the decree of destiny. So be it. You don't have vex and so forth. Be civil. Sitaram, Sitaram. You're bound to say after 3 times the Sitaram, yeah, answer. You're bound to say it after that. But don't swell up your face and think, let it go good. So, as far as the Bal Charit, her 3rd question, the childlike sports, Ramchandra taught how a family should bond and live. In Shiv Baba family, the same thing is taught. What is Shiv Baba's chariot? Nandishwari bull. What Durga Mata's ride on? Natural enemies. What the Bhagwan Ganesha's ride on? What Kartikeya's ride on? Natural enemies. But what happened? You see the fighting? No. You could be civil in your differences. And that's what Shankar Bhagwan family taught. To be civil in your differences. And this is what Bal Charitra of Shri Ram, of Bhagwan Shiva, all taught. Question number 4. Kahu Katha Jan Ki Vibaha. Tell me about the marriage of Shri Ram. So we had Sri Ramchandraji. At a certain point, his Vidya Guru, Guru Vishwamitra, came, and there was a purpose to be served. So, with the tacit approval of Guru Vasishtha, the Diksha Guru, with Emperor Dasrat, Shri Ram and Lakshman, etc., went out into the forest, and there was this Swayambar, you know, and where the famous breaking of the bow, whoever could string the bow would be a fit person to take the hand of Sita Devi. But understand the metaphor and the philosophy behind it. All prospective dulahas or bridegrooms have to have a Swayambar. You don't go and see like married. No, it had to go through the channels of the parents. And you know, we had to have nice conversation, and they had to, you know, you had to pass a little test. And that is what his Swayambar was. Many people tried to string the bow, it couldn't happen. But because of the morality and the prowess of Bhagwan Shiva, Bhagwan Shri Ramchandra, he was able to string the bow. So in marriage ceremonies, it is about, you know, you must bring to the table qualities that a Dulahin and her parents will be a little comfortable with now. And it goes for get your Pandit involved too. Because not every group in them might have nice mannerisms, both parties. And let me just suppose, for argument's sake, the boy born in Kritika Nakshatra and the girl born in Pura Bhadrapada Nakshatra, as a Raju, you know, Nabhi Raju, Udara Raju. That means that you have to take steps that there might be progeny in that union that may not live a full life. And so I'm talking about like children, past owners' children. And so that is why it's necessary to get your Baba involved so you can look at these things. And it's not about we go break up the thing, you know. There are ways you could circumvent and little shanties you could do. And there are 5 rajus, there are 5 such combinations, similar combinations that needs to be checked. You have to be granular about it because it's not a vacation. This is an institution. Marriage is an institution. And so when Shatanand Guru and Guru Vishnu sat down and watched the patra of both of them, he says, yes, thumbs up. This bond can work. Question number 5. Rajatajaso Dushanakaha. So Sri Ramchandra and all the brothers who were wedded, they returned to Ayodhya, and shortly after he had to exit the kingdom. Kaikeyi didn't put Ram out of the kingdom. Follow Ramayana. Kaikeyi had 2 boons, as we all know. She called upon Dasrat that, you know, one of my requests is that Sri Ramchandraji exit so that it will make room for my son Bharat to ascend the throne. And those are the 2 boons. When Ram was beckoned to the hall and he saw his father Dasrat depressed, he says, tell me what it is. And Dasrat didn't say. When Ramchandra heard what happened, he says, that's not a problem. Pita Dina Mohijan Kanan Raju. He says, Ayodhya too small. My father make me king of the big domain of the forest. I get a bigger kingdom. But Kaikeyi, who took all the blame, you know, there's a quotation, Tasam Kriya to Kaikeyi, Sumitro Pasanatmika, Jnana Shakti Chakaushalya, Vero Dasrato Nipram. Who was Kaikeyi? Kaikeyi was the incarnation of karma. Just like how Kaushalya was the incarnation of bhakti, and Sumitra was Kaushalya was the incarnation of Jnana, and Sumitra was the incarnation of bhakti. Karma, our actions, which is registered, that took a form in Kaikeyi. Dasrat had confronted Ravan previously, and Ravan couldn't enter the precincts of Ayodhya. He would have been destroyed right away. So how will Ravan be destroyed for the sake of the devatas, the sages, the saints, and the good people? It had to be out of Ayodhya. So Karma Avatar Kaikeyi had to play her role. She had to call it shut. You need to go into the forest. She wasn't malicious or wanted necessarily Bharata to ascend the throne. She wanted to make us sit here today in satsang comfortably. That the wicked people wouldn't destroy and desecrate things that are good and spiritual. And that was her pivotal role in the entire episode. So thus far, he wasn't banished. He exited and went to the forest. We'll hear further questions. Chaupai. Jai 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 Purari. Jai 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 Shri Rama. Jai 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 Shri
Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Raj Baiti Kinhi Bahulila Sakala Kahahu Shankar Sukhashila Jai 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 Shri Rama Jai 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 Shri Rama Jai 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 Shri Rama Jai 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 Shri Rama.
Question number 6. Bana basi keen heu chalita apara kahu nath jimi Ravana mara. 6 and 7. 6th question. That tell me about his stay, his 14-year stay in the forest. Give me, O Prabhu, she asked Shankar Bhagwan, a synopsis of what went on there. As we know, the battle with Ravana was minuscule in the scheme of those 14 years. The main thing Prabhu did, he took time to have satsang. And when the nights will come, he will sit with the sages and saints, and not necessarily lecture, but many times listen to sages with the power like Bharadwaj, like Agastya, like Matang, like Sarbhang. So satsang is very important. God tell you, when you're in the wilderness of life, satsang will help you. And that is not, a cliche statement. Because if we listen to satsang, we get answers. And how do we get satsang? That, Bhakti Swatantra Sakala Sukhakani, Bina Satsang na Pawahi Prani. If the highway to God is bhakti, we could go from north to south using the old road. You go reach, but it will take longer. But the highway, the fastest way to God is bhakti, unconditional love for God. Not because we have an interview tomorrow, we're going to do Saraswati Puja today. Not because we have an exam coming up, instead of offering one flower, you offer 32 flowers by Saraswati. No, as an agenda. That is legit, Nobody's saying don't do it, but the prayer has to rise above asking for this and asking for that. And that is what is known as bhakti, when without conditions we have gone for God. So the next question, where the ways map to get on that highway? The ways map is Bina Satsang na Pawahi Prani. To get to devotion, the highway, you have to have satsang, you have to listen. So swatantra valambana ana tehi adhin gyan vyana. That, satsang don't need to know how much money you have in the bank, what connections you have, what rank you have. It is swatantra. It doesn't need the support of these things. It just needs love to listen to God's katha and to understand or have it explained to us the ramifications of God katha. For instance, when Sita Mata was abducted, we see Shri Ram crying, Re vrikshaha parvatasta giri gahnalata vayu bijamana. He says, "O vine, O creeper, have you seen Sita?" I could imagine some of them young fellas when they're in love. We expect that. So the question is, yes, Sri Ramchandra had loved Sita Mata, but there was more than that. So when he saw like Lakshman, who was by his side, wondering, he says, Kayuambad, who are you? And Lakshman called himself, Nath ki midam daso aspite Lakshmana. He catches this, Prabhu, I'm your servant, I ain't going over the rockers. Yes. Why did he cry? Because before he descended, Ramchandra, before he descended on earth, the devatas say, we are going to vacate the heavens. Because without you, there's no light, there's no purpose. We want to come down with you. So the paths were filled up. And then the question was posed by some of the devatas, will it have plant life, etc.? We could come like that. So Prabhu says, well, that's your choice, But he promised to all of them, who come and take part, I will give you, you're missing this, I will give you Purna Darshan. I will give you full darshan when I return. Full darshan being him and Sita Mata. Now what happened? When he reached them in the forest, Sita was abducted. They saw her in that stage of treachery. And they saw him searching for her. Didn't have Purna Darshan. Didn't have the full, the happy. So that's why he was crying. He said, I apologize to Re Vrikshaha Parvatasta Giri Gahanalta Bijamana. He says, I apologize. That's the God we're talking about. That's the Ram we're talking about. So don't tell me what you're crying for this and you're crying for that. Don't trivialize Katha. When Bhagwan Krishna sat with the Gopani Gopis, very close to them. Putna, who had the plan to destroy him, she entered. And she, as you all know the Katha, she tried to nurse him and he poisoned and that's it. Bam. So after that episode, the Gopan Gopis asked him, but Prabhu, how come you say we close to you and you are there and satsang going on, right? Oh, you know, we have a company, not necessarily, we have a company, we're sporting and playing with you. How come a Rakshasi like Putna could enter? And what Krishna says, Na yatra saranadini rakshojanani swakamasu. That you already we used to play together, the Gopani Gopis, and sport together, and bathe in the Yamuna together, but already take time off to spend quality time in satsang with me. And from that day, the whole scenario changed, and there was more satsang between Gop and Gopis. So what saved them from negative forces? Krishna Bhagavan said it, Ram said it, Krishna Bhagavan said it, that it is satsang. So that is the satsang that Prabhu Ramchandraji spent most of his time in. Question number 7. Kahahu nata jimi Ravana Mara. Tell me about when Ravan was destroyed. Why that is interesting? Well, here, why not? It took 31 arrows to destroy Ravan. There's a reason behind that. The 30 didn't take, the 30 take care of the heads and the hands. Vibhishan, he allowed Vibhishan the privilege. Vibhishan was Ravan's half-brother who was not a follower of Ravan. He allowed Vibhishan the privilege to tell him what to do. And Vibhishan take it in the Nabhina, hit the 31st one in his navel. Because inside of there, he has your image. And he's your immortal, he can't be destroyed. Until you sap that nectar that feeds that image, he would be destroyed. And so Ravana was felled. But that is part of the Katha. So when Ravana was felled in battle, Prabhu turned to Lakshman, he says, I want to go and get Siksha. I want to get lessons. So Lakshman watch him again. Lessons from Ravan? Anyway, he gone. So he gone, he come back. He said, Prabhu said, why are you here? He said, Prabhu, same thing I taught you, know. He didn't tell me nothing. He said, where you was standing? He said, well, I went close up to his head. He said, no. Our servant has go by the foot. I want you to go back now and go by the foot of Ravan. And from the time Lakshman did that, there's an entire series of quotations. I'll quote one for you. Kal karanta aaj karanta ab. Avasar beete jata hai, pir karenge kab. What you have to do tomorrow, do it today. And what you have to do today, do it now. Because you're not in control of time. Like Ravan, that came from Ravan. So when we talk about the destruction of Ravan, Ravan had his devilish ways. We don't have to emulate that. But at the end of the day, Ravan had a mission to be redeemed of this Rakshas body. And it could only be done by the hands of the Supreme Master. So he just hastened the process by abducting Sita Mata. Do you remember in Ramayana when he went to abduct Sita? It says, Mana Mahu Charana Bandi Sukadana. When Ravan went to kidnap her as disguised as a Sitik, mentally he bowed to her as what her mother. So wait and what he takes she for wife. That's how we, with the jaundiced eyes, just look at things. Ravan, that was the bait. That when he has her, Ram will come and hasten the redemption of his Rakshas body. Ram was very clever. Shri Ram wanted Lakshmanji to get hold of that part or that facet of Ravan. And then Raj Baiti kin hi bahu leela sakala kachu kahahu shankar sukshila. So question number 9. Question number 8, 6, 7, 8, yeah. Is that, tell me now about when Shri Ramchandraji returned to Ayodhya. Yes, he was crowned king. Bharat, for whom the throne was reserved, he didn't want to about it. He went to Nandigram. And he allowed Shatrughan to have stewardship over Ayodhya. So the throne was there waiting on Ram. Shri Ramchandraji was duly anointed. And, you know, he spent his time lecturing us, sharing with us rather, through the medium of his subjects. For instance, you ask somebody, when did I, where you want to go? Well, Baba, I want to go heaven. But here what Ramayana say, Ihi karu tanupala vishayana bhai swaragvahu swalpa anta dukadai. When you go to heaven, you're coming back after the expiration of all your good deeds you did on earth, you're coming back. And you're playing Russian roulette, because there are 8, you know, conservatively speaking, there are 8.4 million species of life. I use the word conservative because biologically you could say it have more. But when you put them into categories, common categories, there are 8.4 billion species of life, and there is no guarantee after having the form of a Pandit, a Sadhu, a Sadhwain, or a Rakshas. There's no guarantee that in that 8.4 million you'll come back as a human being. So when we go to heaven, we come back down, we must come back down to play Russian roulette. Why take the chance? You see, there are 14 spheres in Hindu philosophy. That's how we see the world. Don't get tired of that, you know. In 1998, an Italian guy with the name of Albinoni, he discovered a new galaxy, a new star, and he named it Albinoni now. So them fellas still on a journey. When we talk about nakshatra, I think it's one star we talk about. Nakshatras are a group of stars. We don't identify the name. So, you know, where science ends, religion begins. And so there is a whole galaxies out there. There's 14 spheres. Earth is 7th. So it is said if you're reborn in Earth or any of the 6 upper spheres, we're good to go. We're on a better journey. So we count, we have Earth. After that you have Bhuaha. Bhuaha is the sphere above Earth, ruled by whom? Pavandev, the father of Hanuman. He rules there. Above that, you have Swarga. You have heaven. So heaven, you have 1, 2, 3. You still have 4, 5, 6, and 7 to reach upward, you know. So, you know, we're not debunking heaven, you know. We are saying that is not where we're going to get immortality. So that is where Vishnu Bhagwan, the sustainer, rules. Many times people say, well, and Vishnu and Ram is the same person. Loka loka prati bhinna vidata, bhinna Vishnu Shiva manu desitarata. When Kagji took the form of a light and entered the entrails of Bhagwan, because Kag had his doubts, what he says, loka loka, see several spheres, prati bhinna vidata, and bhin means each one had its own Brahma. Bhinna Vishnu, each one had his own Vishnu. Bhinna Shiva, each one had the Shiva, each one had the gardens of the quarters. So the Supreme, he manifests himself as the creator, the sustainer, the dissolver in each sphere. So that is Vishnu, and then have Mahavishnu. So we want to reach to Mahavishnu. Of course, if we reach to Vishnu, we're happy with that, because we have a chance to go up. But in the Leela of Shri Ramchandra during his reign, these are just snippets of the types of lessons he passed to us for better understanding. We hear in the upcoming Doha.
बहुरी कहु करु नायतना किन्ह जो अचरज राम प्रजा सहित रघुवंशमणि निज धाम सीतापति रामचंद्र की जय।
The debate was early on. There were 13 questions. We're in question number 9. And this is where it is said, some schools have thought that these are really 2 questions. But we go to the grammar of it. Jehi Vigyan, Keen ha jo Acharaj Ram. Acharaj means supernatural. So did Parvati Mata ask Shankar Bhagwan about the supernatural Ram? How much of the Leela Sri Ram showed his supernatural powers? The main mission of his avatar is Nar Leela. We don't want to see God as the supernatural. In fact, the lesson, if he comes as the supernatural and teaches us, we go for it blindly. God is a rational God. Kabahuna keen mora mana bhangu. You know, that he gives us this body and gives us a sense of autonomy. You don't have to worship God. You don't have to worship Saraswati Mata. You don't have to worship Ganesh. You could do what you want. But if you do worship them, you get answers and cues. how to have a good character build. And that is why you worship God, to get that. If not, live like a, Newton's third law of motion. To every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you live like a rogue, where you go reap? If you plant corn, is get peas? No. So, that's why Newton, Dalton, were always called the created laws of nature. That's Hindu philosophy. Einstein agreed with that. The Big Bang Theory, he agreed with that. So, the wise people in the Western world understand and rationalize what is said in the books here. So, this word Acharaj, Ramchandra didn't come here to give supernatural powers. And I could count 3. There may be just a couple more. When Kaushalya, his mother, as a babe, was feeding him, she feed him, put him to sleep in the cradle, gone in the puja room, offer prasad. She come back to the cradle, she has seen Ram. She gone so she seen heat in the prasad. And she get a little tied up. And what he do? He opened his mouth and she saw the whole cosmos. That's one. That was a private one-on-one. She saw that. Then I just quoted Kag Buchoon, where Kagji saw the entire cosmos, as it were. In Krishna Avatar, Dibyam Dadamite Chakshuhu, Arjun says, let me see you in your form. He says, for you to see me in my form, you have to have divine eyes. He says, well, bless me with divine eyes. And so he blessed Arjun, and you have the Virat Sarup. So in the selected parts in all his avatars, he shows supernatural powers. When Varun Dev didn't want to quell long so they could build the bridge, he threatened Varun Dev. This Amog man will take care of you, So yes, so in very selected circumstances, singular references, he used his supernatural powers to let the Leela go on. But the gist of his Leela was not supernatural. So Acharaj means it's an adjective. Tell me about Acharaj Ram. Tell me about his Bahuri Praja Sahit. Yes. Tell me about this supernatural Ram, or this man Ram who acted as Nar Leela. What qualified all the people to go up to Saket, look at him? Yes, we could quickly say, well, they were devatas. Yes, that is true. But remember, when they came as devatas, there would have been little shortcomings and errors here. So it's not a guarantee that they went up with him. What caused? Who were the ones selected to go back to Sri Ramchandri? Chaupai tell you, ek nari vrat. One husband, one wife. Not like Trinidad men. One wife, husband, on the outside. Well, go ahead. Do all the yag you want, do all the puja you want. Go temple every day. But if you break the fidelity of a husband to a wife, no chance. Not me. Na ek nari vrat. Ramayana says so. That you stand a tough chance. Not impossible. Probably you might turn the leaf after your error point out. It's up to the wife to decide whether she want to put you in the doghouse or what. That's she choice. If she want to welcome you back, fine. If she doesn't, fine. She remit to not bring you back. But if what I would forget, why? What would you? What page you're going to turn to stop like a dog sucking egg on the outside? When? When are they going to stop? When? And that debars one from merging with God. Ek nari vrat. So that is what qualified the people of Ayodhya. They all had his one wife, one soul. Now don't tell me that Dashrath didn't lead by example. He had 3 wives. And I just quote to you. That for God to Tasam Kriya to Kaikeyi, for God to take manifest, there must be 4 ingredients. If you want God in this Ayodhya, karma, like Kaikeyi, the actions have to be up to mark. We can't be sitting on Singhasan, preaching nice, months so far, so much so far, and then we go on by David Junction, and a fella give you a bad rep and a different kind of mantra come out. That is a hypocrisy. That is not the kind of action go carry you, that God go manifest in. This is not a Ayodhya. This is love until, if that happens. Right? So that is one. Then Gyan, Kaushalya was the incarnation of Gyan. And Gyan is spiritual wisdom. You have to have a bit of satsang is spiritual wisdom, Look, me are too computer savvy. The learner has helped me out, my son has helped me out, my daughters have helped me out. So I say, Pa, you only forget your password. Why do a little satsang and I come back for him? They say, Pa, where's your password? I say, incorrect. So anything I punch in, the computer saying, your password is incorrect. You understand? Satsang teach me that. You know? So I don't have to ask them for help again. So, Dhyan, spiritual wisdom. You know, satsang has given us sharpness. Very sharp. Satsang makes you sharp. So, when you arise, you know, ahara nidra bhayamai tunani, we are animals. Because animals eat, we eat. Animals have fear, we have fear. Animals bring forth young, we bring forth young. You know, they sleep, we sleep. So as far as that, dhyanen nahi naha, they don't have spiritual wisdom. And that is what differentiates a human being from an animal. To understand there is a God, whether you call him Ram, whether you call him Jesus, whether you call him the Prophet Muhammad. It doesn't matter. But you recognize that there's somebody upstairs. That is Gyan. And you work towards that. So that was the second wife in inverted commas. The third wife, Sumitra. She was bhakti. She was the highway to God. Unconditional love. When Hanuman carried the mountain, and he was struck down by Bharat, and Hanuman was interrogated, where are you going with that? He said, well, let's have a medicine here. And going to help Lakshman. What Sumitra do? She said, boohoo, boohoo, and cry. She tells she other son, Shatrughna, get ready. Because if Lakshman has been felled in battle, you get ready to go. That is what we call love for God. Nothing must happen to Ram. That was God incarnate. That is what we call bhakti. So we have three ingredients. So we listen and we want to make the fourth ingredient. We want Ram to come here, then what? Vedo Dasrato Nripam. Dasrat was the author of the Vedas, the original books of knowledge. So it is only when these four come together, this is the Ayodhya. So when we talk about Ek Nari Vrat, one husband, one wife, don't reference, don't think of things that we don't understand now. Why don't reference Dasratna? That's a divine reference. And so you trace all the Leelas where famous kings may have had more than one spouses. It was reason, like for instance in Bhagavad Puran, Krishna had Rukmini, Satyabhama, etc., etc. But they all were answers to fulfill his. When God comes, he comes with 16 kala, 16 powers. And so to bring out each power, there was a projection of the Sita, whereas Rukmini, as Radha, as Satyabhama, etc. So don't, you know, John, this man sees yellow. We don't see things like that because that is how humans behave. But understand, it's a sublime katha. Get above that, get to the feet of a guru, get in satsang, and we have a better understanding of it. So we reach question number 10. Chopai.
पुनि प्रभु कहूँ सो तत्व बखानी जेहि वे ज्ञान मगन मुनि ज्ञानी
जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
भक्ति ज्ञान रामा भक्ति ज्ञान विज्ञान विरागा पुनि सब बरनहु सहित विभागा
श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम
So question number 10. Puni Prabhu kaha so tattva bakhani. Parvati Mata asks, tell me about the Panch Tattva, the 5 elements that make up this body. So let me quickly rehearse that. Earth, air, fire, water, ether or space. The song's very nice and, you know, very, very cushy, and man, Hinduism have it pat down. Let me understand further than that. When someone passes on, in the Mritakaram, in the rites, let me say like Bhandara. Bhandara they come. And let's be reminded, Bhandara is the point in time when the soul, after Dasgatra, goes to various pilgrimages and places it wants to see. And then on Bhandara day, it returns for mainly the offering of Pinda so that it will now go on its 1-year journey in Pitrilok, which geographically is close to the moon, where it will spend time with one source says up to 7 generations. So what happened on Bhandara? How we sending our food? You think is my father like Kareli? Boy, we had to cook Kareli and offer it in that food, you know. Well, if he like ganja, we'll put ganja too. Yeah, rationalize it. No. Those 5 portions of food are in honor of the deities that make up this body. So, you know, put those things, and who is this mass man in Subway, Kalicharan? You don't put the 5 food and put like a Kalicharan brand all about the place. Earth, 1 portion should go on the ground in honor of Mother Earth, that she graced father, mother, brother, whoever with that body. 1 portion goes to honor the water, the god of waters. Most of the blood is plasma. Most of the plasma is water. And Varun Devata sits on the western part of a land. So you offer 1 portion there. The third element, or third fire, it doesn't go in certain order, it's in Europe. Fire. Agni Devata sits on the southeastern part of any lot of land. In your puja room, if you have a picture of or murti of Agni Devata, you could put him, you're facing east, or you're facing north, you could also put him southeast, because that is where his comfortable, that is where his residence is. So 1 portion goes on the southeast. 1 ether, you know, space, so you put it on an elevator like on a post or whatever. And the 5th one is air. That goes in the northwest, because Pawan Dev, the father of Hanuman, sits on the northwest. And that's a good fact to know, because when you have a threat of hurricane, there's a certain mantra, one of many you use in Hawan, and you sit facing Pawan Dev. You don't turn your back to him, you face him. And so these 5 elements, we have to focus on what they represent. That is when we go on. What about when we hear? How many times a day we say, well, I went on a thank God, boy. I take off on a thank God, you thank God. So did you thank Varun Devata? Did you thank Prithvi Mata? Did you thank Vayu Devata? Did you thank Jew Devata? Did you thank Agni Devata in that prayer you said it? I'll say it for you in less than 5 seconds. Check me. Om Shri Agniye Namaha. Om Shri Prithvi Mataya Namaha. Om Shri Vayu Namaha. Om Shri Jew Devaya Namaha. Om Shri Varunaya Namaha. So you couldn't spend 5 seconds. You yourself, you're hurrying. You watch a late night Netflix movie and you couldn't get up and you're rushing to go to work. That's okay. But when you come in the evening now, at least you just can't spend 5 seconds and you tell me you hire an animal. And 5 seconds you couldn't spare? To what? What 5 seconds? To give thanks to the devatas who gave you the permission to go out there and whether study, work, whatever. You got that permission to go out there and there's no gratitude in it. So when Parvati Mata asks about Pancha Tattva, think further and just the 5 elements. What we are doing to propagate these 5 elements or these 5 deities so that we'll, in life's sojourn, it'll be a fruitful life. What preparations? You want to stab most people is Jew Devata, you know. That is who governs between earth, Akashna, space. Who we really worshipping there? Yes, it's Jew Devata. And if you want to conceptualize, because sometimes in prayer, you have to focus who you're doing and face northeast. Because in the 5 faces of Bhagwan Shiva, Ishan, Tatpurush, Aghor, Vamdev and Sadyojat, Ishan Dev on the northeast, he is the custodian of Jew. So you just have to think of Bhagwan Shiva, and you face notice and you make a little bow now. So you know in a puja room, you say the mantra, you make a little bow. And it rings home. These things ring home. So for what? You think it's for Shiv Baba benefit or for Mother Earth benefit? For our benefit. So when she asks this 10th question about Panch elements, we have to shake up and start thinking how to restructure prayer. If we haven't done it before, that's not a sin. You know, we are in a work, it's a work in progress. But you know, having heard, take the steps. And anything that is said in satsang here, you're free to ask. We could give you the quotations. I have a couple secretaries who with a little bribe, I might be able to get them to you in time. But we can back up all these. You can use it in a prayer room. If those 5 mantras you wanted, you can get it on and I can voice note it too for you. Question number 11. Bhakti, Gyan, Vigyan, Viraga. Look at this. This could take me 4 a.m. morning. She says, Prabhu, I want you to tell me about bhakti, about devotion. I want you to tell me, as my 11th question, I want you to tell me about spiritual wisdom. I want you to tell me about Vigyan. Vigyan is, you know, the deep understanding of certain declarations of Sanatana Dharma. And then I want you to tell me about virag, dispassion. How to maintain my cool in joy and sorrow, in pleasure and pain. So all this she lumped together and says, I want to tell about that. Of course, Ramayana will give the details. I will probably just touch on Vigyan. What is the best time to light diya? People say sunset. More than that. Godhul, Krishna Bhagwan becomes very, very happy when the cows are returning from their pastures. And when that happens, there is a cloud of dust where their hooves as they coming in. So that is dhuli, dust. And go coming from the cows. What time of the day? Anybody who mind cattle know this? I doubted it. I was doing puja in our farm and it happened. It happens like they have a clock inside. 10 minutes before sunset. Sorry, 12 minutes before sunset and 12 minutes after sunset. That's Godhuli. Jyotish teaches you that the dying part of the day, the last 12 minutes before sunset is not, it could work, but it's not the best one. The best one is 12 minutes after sunset. So when we light that deer 12 minutes after sunset, you could Google it, you could watch the papers to know when it's sunset. It hardly ever changes from year to year. That's the time. If we light the deer, Bhagwan Krishna, becomes very happy, ecstatic. If we light that out of Godhuli, it's not a sin. It will still count. But there's double indemnity when we invest our time and efforts according to injunctions of the Shastras. And so that's the best. And so that's the Vijnana. We know about light in diya. That is Gyan. What the mantra say. And then Vijnana is why you light it and the time you light it. There's a little exception on a Saturday. On a Saturday, you take it 24 minutes after sunset. And on a Sunday, our school has a calendar out. You could Google it up, SVVTT. You could get the Sunday time in there. Every Sunday you just have it there. Right? So this is a bit of the Vijnana. A bit of the Vijnana again. Gayatri. Gayatri has 5 poses where you get the energy. Om, 1. Bhurbhuva Swaha, 2. Tat Savitur Varenyam, 3. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo nu Prachodayat. That's the 5 stops you make. They say Gayatri have 24 syllables, which 24 devatas answer to. Now don't count from Om Bhurbhuva Swaha. You count from Tat Savitur Varenyam. That's the grammar. Okay? So, Tat Sa. That's in Savitur, which refers to the sun. Anybody who Ishta is Pawandev, Hanuman Fara. Whenever you say the Gayatri, think about, when you say Savitur, think about him. Savitur Varenyam, Niyam, Ni. That Ni, whoever Ishta is Brihaspati, you think about him. Bhargo Devasya, Bhar, whoever Isht is in the Dev, you think of him, that's Bhargo Devasya Dhi, whoever Isht is the Vasus, you think of them, Dhiyo, the He, whoever Isht is Somdevta, the god of the moon, you think of that in Gayatri. So one of the days I'm going to make a little room to discuss how you get a Isht and where these things kind of connect now. So understand basic, that even the recitation of Gayatri with a bit of reverence, that you're touching the nerve, the good nerve of 24 devatas. So that is how it is. That's the Vigyan. That's Parvati Mata art. That is what Ramayana is. Tulsidas didn't only prepare this. He prepared 50 odd Ramayans on the very topic of Ram, starting with Adhyatma Ramayana, the philosophy of Ramayana. And so this is where the Vigyan comes in. We hear question. Oh yeah, that was question number 11, 12 and 13. Chopai.
Jai Ram Sri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Rama Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Rama Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Sri Rama Jaya Rama, Sri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Avara Uramara Hasya Aneka Kahunatati Vimala Viveka
Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama.
जो प्रभु में पूछा नहीं होई सो दयालु राखो जनि गोई
Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama.
So as you come up to the two final questions, realize it's a chronology. It comes from birth, youth, Banbas, king, and so forth. So now, having covered the entire stay of Sri Ramchandraji, where she talked about he ascending back to Saket Lok and left behind things like bhakti and so forth, she asks now, Avara Rama Rahasya Aneka Kahahu Nath Ati Bimal Viveka. She says, Prabhu Shankar, Bimal Viveka, you have the powers of discernment. And there might be things that I didn't ask. I want nothing to be left out because I want my children, the people of the world, to follow and to understand the Leela of Ram, Ram Rahasya. So there it is in the forest. Ramchandraji, Sita Mata. That was early on in the stay. Lakshman was there, cheer him. So it was time to build a little fire. So Sri Ram admonished Lakshman. He didn't send him, he advised him, go get some firewood and let's create a little fire for warmth and cooking and so forth. So Lakshman went. So who remained? Ram and Sita. And what happened there? Shri Ram told Sita in the absence of everybody, Sunahu Priya Vrata Ruchura Sushila, Maikachu Karab Lalit Naralila. He says, Devi, I am about to play Naralila. We're going to get involved and cross swords with Ravan, etc. I don't want your purity to be stained. I want you to take up residence in the fire. And so she entered the fire and the Maya Sita came out. Now, if Ram and Sita were there alone, how come we know? How come Tulsidas write that? Because Tulsidas saw the entire Leela like a video, like how you watch a movie. He saw things that occurred between two parties. He saw it. And so he penned it. But there's more to that than that, you know. Why she went into fire? Kiskindha Khan and Ramayana says that a woman has 4 banks. She's like a rice crop. She has 4 banks. First bank, she under the care of the mother and father. Now, when you're under the care of the mother and father, and 10 o'clock in the night, you say, well, you're going... I don't know the name of the party place in South. But I understand in my area is H2O, they call it. Anyway. So 10 o'clock every night, mother and father say, well, you know, it's dangerous to go there now. Right? And you swell up like a bullfrog. Well, you put them under duress. Right? And if you ain't get to go, well, what am I going to tell you? You should talk plenty, chatter. From the next 2 days, you're talking in syllables. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know? So that is not being under the care. Use a rice crop. Use dog rice, like what was. Yeah, so. And so I was just making fun. It wasn't really so. And so, you know, that's one bank. The other bank, you know, having left parents so many married now, with the approval of the parents, you know, wanted to care of the husband. You know? Carry yourself with decorum and good demeanor. The third one is if husband will go on away or whatever, you're under the care of your in-laws. And the fourth bank, that's why I get frightened. I call pepper sauce mother-in-law, you know. Don't look at the mother-in-law as pepper sauce now. She could well be honey. And the fourth bank, you know, God forbid, everyone has passed on, you're under the care of the elders of the village. So a female is like a rice cup. What happened here? So Sita Devi had married, so she's under the care of Sri Ram. Sri Ram is telling her now that I have to take part in a lila. So I'm putting you in care of the third phase, which is the in-laws. What do I have to do with the in-law? Bhakti sahit muni ahuti din he agni pragat charu karlin he. When the Havan was being done to bring the sons of Dashrath into the world, Shringi Rishi performed Havan, offered with devotion, and then what? Agni Devata, the fire god, came out to the Kir, which was shared, and that's from where Ram comes. So technically, Dashrath was the mortal father-in-law of Sita, but the real father-in-law, or the original one, was Agni Devata. Hence, she obeyed Ram and went into fire, her father-in-law. So these are the rahasya of Ramayana. You know, we have to look at it from a different angle. It's not literal at all. It's written in parables and in tongue. So the 13th and final question. Jo Prabhu mai pucha nahi hoi, so dayalu rakhahu janigoi. Prabhu, in my ignorance, so she says, she's not ignorant. In my ignorance, there might be things I have left out. I ask you to complete the epic. And so we have, for example, the most powerful tool of a Hindu is Havan. That's more powerful than Jap, more powerful than anything, Havan. And, you know, people look at Havan in a strange way. Them Hindu people offending, they do know better, they're offending the fire. Well, understand something. We taking care of you, our same critic, without you knowing it. Because the recommended wood for Havan, the general Havan, like you do in the Havan for the Devatas, is mango wood. If you don't have, you could use pitch pine, but pitch pine is not in the pecking order of wood for Havan. Why mango wood? When mango wood is burned in Havan, there's a gas in gas form known as formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, apart people do it in the laboratory as preserving this and preserving that. In mild amounts, there's a mild amount of formaldehyde comes out from Havan. Formaldehyde has the power to kill bacteria. So the same neighbor who criticizing you perform in Havan to take care of he. No bacterial infection, no risk of bacterial infection. And further to that, that has the effect of 1 month. So you take care of that Nimakaram for 1 month. But he's there to criticize you. But that's how, you know, a Hindu mind is a trained mind. You know, let's say what you want, that will stop me from doing Havan. I could continue to take care of you. So that is one of the reasons why Havan is important. Look, the first 4 mantras in Hinduism. Om Shri Agnaye Swaha. These devatas sit in certain parts of the Havan Kund. So you give obeisance to fire god, from which comes heat. Then you give obeisance to Som Devata, the moon god, from which there is cooling. And from heat and cooling you get progeny. So now you go to your answers. As I make the third offering to these, Pa, Ma, Aja, Aji, whoever. The third offering, so structured is Havan. The fourth one, of course, is for Indradev, or the god of the Havan Kund. So everything in Havan, etc., is geared to look after mankind. It was never for the devatas solely, it is always for the mankind. Further to that, you all know, anybody have a little secondary knowledge, working idea of charges. You see the clouds in the sky, they have charges. The charges will be positive and negative, they'll be mixed up all over. But when it's subject to a force, they polarize. They move from one side to another side, and that is what gives rainfall. That is what causes cloud cover. So that very Havan you're doing, eventually it ascends the heavens and interferes with the cloud structure. That is why if there is a drought and there's no rain, there are certain Havan and mantras could do. They could refix and realign, and there will be rainfall. And that has been proven. That's not a land story. That has been done time and time again. So these are the 13 questions of Parvati Mata. Last chope and then final duha.
Jai Rama Sri Rama. Jai Rama Sri Rama. Jai Jai Rama. Sri Rama Jai Rama. Jai Jai Rama. Jai Rama Sri Rama.
Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama.
तुम त्रिभुवन गुरु देव बखाना आन जीव पामर का जाना राम 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 बोलो राम 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 बोलो राम राम प्रश्न उमा के सहज सुहाए छल विहीन सुनि शिव मन भाए हरहि राम चरित सब आए प्रेम पुलक लो जन जय छाये श्री रघुनाथ रूप और आवा परमानंद मित सुख पावा जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम
Shri Rama Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama.
Tumatri Bhuvan Gurudeva Bakhana, having rest ball in the court of Bhagwan Shiva, she says, I am relaxed because you are not merely my husband, you are a guru to the world. So I expect answers will be evoked by my questions and sensible answers too. Ana Jeev Pamar Kara Jana, there is no one else who has that capacity. Prashna Uma Ke Sahaj Suhai, listening to the Sahaj Suhai, I mean her natural way. The questions came from a genuine heart. When we go and we want to find out something from someone, humble yourself. You know, is it the crouch of the tiger or the kitten that make it a further spring? Is the little hook on the ankush on the elephant, what is the elephant is, that doesn't make the difference if you straighten it, nothing doing. So it's the humility now that does give us answers. And Bhagwan Shiva was taken in by the humility of Parvati Mata. Chalavheen Suni Shivaman Bahai. She did it without any kind of guile. Hara here Ram Charit Savai. At that point in time, before speaking, Bhagwan Shiva brought the form of Shri Ram Chandra into his mind. Prema Pulaklo Chanjala Chaya. And he was overcome with emotion. His eyes were filled with tears and all his hairs stood on end. And here comes the part. Shri Raghunatha Rupa Aur Ava Paramanand Amit Sukhapava. There are three states of delight in Hindu philosophy, in world philosophy. There is pleasure. It will come fleeting, and then comes pain. Our writer says, pleasure is an interval between two pains. So are we going to seek for pleasure when we go before God? When there's going to be pain following? Yes, it brings temporary relief, but we want something bigger than that. So that is sukh. Then you have harsh. That's joy. Joy occurs when there is one-on-one contact. So you meet somebody, a good soul, you have a moment of joy. You reminisce on the olden days and so forth. But it is better than sukh because it will leave you. It might be an inspiring word, that singular conversation had, that will make an indelible mark in your behavior, in your demeanor. So it does have a bit of durability, a guarantee in it. And then there's Anand, Paramanand, Amit Sukhapa. Anand is when that state of delight comes because there is a connect with God, whether it's in satsang, whether it's in your puja room, wherever, but usually it comes from communion with holy and pious people. You know, if we sit down and think things out yourself and don't echo these sentiments against someone who may be better qualified to, that's why you have a guru. You know, he will be able to sanction and edit. And so comes Anand, then you have a true understanding of where we are. So in meeting with people, it's always good to be mindful. Are we looking for Sukh? Are we looking for Harsh? Or are we looking for Anand? Should the conversation at some point in time take a spiritual tone, a spiritual light that will leave us in a state of Anand? Final Doha. Magan Jnana Rasa Danda Yuga Muni Man Bahar Ki Raghupati Charita Esha Taba Harashita Vara महादेव की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय वृंदावन कृष्ण चंद्र की जय पुरेशा जगन्नाथ की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय सियावर रामचंद्र की जय शरणम मगन ध्यान रस दंडो युगा. Before narrating Katha, Bhagwan Shiva went into Danda Yuga. Yuga is 2 in this context, and Danda is a Hindu hour. Those say he went into 2 hours. He went into Danda really and mathematically is 24 minutes. So Bhagwan Shiva went into meditation for 48 minutes, Danda Yuga, 2 by 24, 48. Why? Because on the right soul of Sri Ramchandra lies 24 emblems. Each one is a hallmark of an incarnation, for instance. When he came as Vaman, Vaman is known with the umbrella. So there's a mark of the umbrella. When he came as Bhagwan Krishna, the Basuri. So these are the emblems. And what is on the right foot of Sri Ramchandra is on the other foot of Sita Devi. So Bhagwan Shiva went and he meditated. Before he could have given and pronounced on Ram, he had to give a whole history of Sri Ramchandra. You know how much times in counting we say, God has come 24 times. Well, he made 24 now. Okay. Name 24. The first is Sanak, Sanatan, Sanandan, Sanmaru. Let me go from there. So Kalki, which has come, is 24. 23 just went. Good. Tell me about 22 and 21 and 20 next night. Because I'll have to explain. And I will tell you tomorrow night. Yes, I'll make it tomorrow night because there's a little idea. I'll give a little snippet now. We in an era called Vaivasvat Manvantar. All Pandits here, when you do a sankalp, it'll say Vaivasvat Manvantari. What that have to do with an altar? It is one of the altar. And we'll place it and put context it. But I want to explain a little more on that. Suffice it to say that Bhagwan Shiva had to go through all these incarnations to pronounce on Shri Ramchandra. If Bhagwan Shiva took that time off to provide answers not for Parvati Mata, for us, I mean, we can have our Ongsa faith self. Most of we have our Ongsa fake. You know, you just see a movie, especially a horror movie, and you go on the road, and something make a noise. You say, zombie, why couldn't be Hanuman? You know, we have fake. But Shankar Bhagwan is spending the time to just light, to kindle the fire of faith in us. Once, Lumberjack, example is cut down tree now. which is not a very good thing. It's not a scientific thing. And look what happened to the Amazon now. So they're cutting down trees. So the foreman watching, and he happened to look up on a tree and he realized that a bird had just given birth to young chicks. So he called the workers and said, look, I want all the cut here. I want all the cut down so. They said, boss, why? He said, don't argue with me. That's why I named boss. Cut from down so coming up. So they cut till reach a tree. By that time, 2 weeks passed. The baby birds left the nest. And so when the tree came crashing down, you know, there was a little anxiety in the mind of the super. Take care. One of them may remain back. When he went, he didn't see anyone. So he was happy. But then his eyes fell on the nest. You know, birds has gathered all kind of scraps. And a scrap of newspaper was in that nest. And you notice the words? Hey, Rakhwali. Rakhwali means you who are the protector. So if he could protect the fishes of the sea and the birds of the air, so says the Holy Bible also, we who are supposed to be his best children, his best creation, made in his image and likeness, you mean we can't have that faith? When you boil rice, I just cook, you know, watch me, so I could cook, you know, like you can boil water. When you boil rice, you go and feel all the grains as if the rice boil, what else do? You feel 1 grain or 2 grain. How much evidence you want from God to understand that let the faith lie in us? How much? Ek baar bolo Siyawar Ramchandra ki. At this juncture, we've been Kathatan, and I promise you I'll finish at 9. Yes. So, I thank you for being an attentive audience. We move on tomorrow. Try to make it a little, I will try to make it a little earlier. But it's 7:15 is a safe time actually. We'll start from here 7:15. If you're in a position to, if you're not feeling well, you can sit. Let's all stand and join in our arati. आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कलित ललित सियपी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कलित ललित सियपी गावत ब्रह्मादिक मुनि नारद वाल्मीकि विज्ञान विशारद सुख सनकादिक शेषारु शारद सुख सनकादिक शेषारु शारद बरनी पवन सुत कीरति की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कलित ललित संतत गावत शंभु भवानी अरुगत संभव मुनि विज्ञानी व्यास आदि कवि पुण्य बखानी काकभूषण गरुड़ के आरती श्री रामायण जी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कलित ललित सियपी चारु वेद पुराण अष्टदश चहु शास्त्र सब ग्रंथन को रस तन मन धन संतन को सर्वस तन मन धन संतन को सर्वस सारंश सम्मत सबरी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की कीरति कलित ललित सियपी कलिमल हरनि विषय रस की कलिमल हरनि विषय रस की शुभ श्रृंगार मुक्तिवती की हरनि रोग भव मूर्यमी की तात मात सब विधि तुलसी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की आरती श्री रामायण जी की
Kirati Kalita Lalita Shivrati, Kirati Kalita Lalita Shivrati, Kirati Kalita Lalita. Om Raksha Raksha Mahadeva Raksha Raksha Janardhanam Rakshantu Devata Sarve Brahma Vishnu Maheshwaram. Om Tumeva Mata Chapita Tumeva Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tumeva Tumeva Vidya Dravidam Tumeva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Bole Sri Gajanan Swami ki jai, Bole Sri Saraswati Mata ki jai, Bole Sri Guru Maharaj ki jai, Umapati Mahadev ki jai, Paunaputra Hanuman ki jai, Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Siyavar Ramachandra ki jai. Can you take your seats? I just have two quick words to say. It was remiss of me in the beginning not to acknowledge both the group and our wonderful production of Vision 2 video and photo production operating there on the table, because we were kind of scrambling for time here to organize certain things. But my blessings to you all. Kavita, I always know you do a wonderful and professional job, and it's really nice that it was made possible by one of the Pandits in the school that we could have done this for the archives. As far as the group is concerned, we had two harmonium players, father and son, Dayanand and Satish. God's blessings to you. Of course, Varnish Singh on the dholak. Looking forward to you here tonight. And just fresh from a tour of India, we have on the Dhantal Ravi. And I think you head back on Tuesday. That's why it's a 3 nights. So thank you very much, Ravi. And I mean, the person, I'm acknowledge my Dulahin too on the tambourine, because no brekkie tomorrow. No, that isn't true. That isn't true. Good to have you all. So God's blessings to you. Meals have been prepared. So please stay back and partake. God bless. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm reminded that ITV is also with us. Thank you. Bye. My apologies.